or make you laugh, make you cry like Ain't Life Funny. Ugh.
Conspiracy time.
First of all, emergency episode of Ain't Life Funny, guys. I think we're on episode 36, but apparently something's happening right now that I just had to hit my boy up, Aaron. Aaron, you're close to the action, bro.
To me,
How you feeling?
to me, like, this is just like the perfect like pandemic, everything just boiling over into like the perfect thing, like timing wise, everything. Cause like me and you, man, we didn't record a podcast like we usually do. We probably would have had one recorded by now. And it just so happens, you know, media needs to be made in the moments when it needs to be made.
We got boots on the ground right now. We got to get this out, dog.
I mean, I'm over here, man. Like, to me, like, okay, so if nobody knows what we talk about, just to stay on point. Like, we're talking about Trump came out and cited all the Proud Boys, which is just the funniest name on earth.
Can I get a clarification on exactly?
I don't know.
We need to kind of go through the timeline, because I came into this like after the fact, basically.
Yeah, kind of with me too, but like I think it was around like noon here. He had came out and gave a speech. I didn't listen to it because like I wasn't by the TV neither. You know what I'm saying? Like I was actually like just out because I bought this thing from this dude from Craigslist. But when I got back, I saw on the news because my mom had it up that they was running up in the Capitol and shit. So I saw all the stuff about that, but I don't know what he said. Like I have no clue. But it was like I was telling you when you called me earlier, man. Like to me, I don't know, man. This should just be smelling fishier and fishier, bro. Because like, if you're a conspiracy theorist right now, bro, your head is just boiling, man. And like
you're coming in your pants over and over. Every day you get up, it's just like another nut bust of a day. It's insane.
I mean, well, here's the thing, right? They said that they revealed a few days ago, Russia hacked like basically the National Security Agency, pretty much. Like they hacked, I guess, the system that they use to protect all their data or some shit. So it was a breach. So all this shit came out about that. And to me, this is like the perfect timing because all those people that are like the crackpots, you know what I'm saying? Like they have all that information that is supposedly coming out during the leak or is part of that leak. That could be anything. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's scary about when you get into this whole intelligence and counterintelligence shit. And then also realizing that Trump has put his people in charge of that for the last 4 years. So it's like really a shithole, you know what I'm saying? But like all that shit is important, bro. Cause like, what if that leak happened? They're now saying like, oh yeah. Cause like what happened was, I guess like, cause we don't have this Facebook, like we're not like MAGA people. So we don't get to see their Facebook feeds and shit. But supposedly what's going on theirs, there's all these numbers and information about like how the election was impossible. Like it was more votes than actually were people in these places and shit, you know what I'm saying? And like, as far as I know, and you and me and the average person, that could all be very true. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe this is the actual fact that like they did fix the shit. But the thing is like, I can't fact check that shit. You can't fact check that shit. The actual person can't fact check it. So that information could be coming from anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that are saying this, like, where did they hear this from? Did they actually go there, count the votes? Because like everybody's actually counted the votes. It's saying everything's, you know, copacetic. And like, once again, I can't fact check that shit either. So like, this is why this is like,
it can't be right because, I mean, and again, I guess if you're a hardcore Trump person, then I guess everything that he's saying is just completely truth because they had that phone call that they keep publicizing last week.
Right.
He called it
with Georgia
election officials and was basically telling them just to like commit election fraud.
Right.
But when he kept bringing up these numbers, that guy, Ryan Germany, yeah, that's his name, was like, no, this is not, everything you're saying is a lie.
Like this is wrong.
False or a lie. The one thing I did see that I think maybe is what you're talking about is where they're saying there were these like huge vote count dumps at like 3 a.m. for Joe Biden.
I don't even know.
Shit, but it's like
they're trying to say that the numbers don't add up. That's what I heard as much. You know what I'm saying? And like, to me, like I said, like whether they do or if they don't or whatever, like the fact of the matter is that we can't prove any of that shit. And like what's really going on is that like I think this is some Russia counterintelligence shit that they're infiltrating against our country. It's the same type of shit we do to other countries, where you have to think to yourself, if you can look at our election process and already realize that it's a fucked up ass process, there's proof of it. You know what I'm saying? Like in 2000, Al Gore and George Bush got in a tied up even longer than what's going on now. You know what I'm saying? Like in an even more serious debate in which some shit probably did go on during that election. You know what I'm saying? But like there's proof already, and I always bring this up, there's precedent to show you that this is possible. You know what I'm saying? So you can look and say, oh, this happened in America. So now if you're a country watching on the outskirts wanting to do something to this country, you could say, oh, we could mess with their election again because it's already worked once before in the past. So now if we actually do some shit to manipulate it, we can get some shit turned up. And like, to me, what's fucked up is I feel like Trump is playing right into that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know if he knows if he's doing that or not. And honestly, like, he might be, like I said, I don't know how deep the fucking invasion goes, bro. Like, it could be that he's in on this shit too. You know what I'm saying? Because he got Russia ties. You know what I mean? Or maybe Biden's in on this shit in some type of way where he's trying to cover up that he really did hide the election. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I mean. Like, if you're a fucking conspiracy theorist, like, you can go in on anything. Like, that's why I kind of like, I listen to him, but I don't dive into him because, like, what I'm telling you right now, everything is up for question. So it's like, if a conspiracy theorist come to me with all this information, like blah, 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 I was like, where did you hear that from? You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing I'm gonna tell you. Then like, okay, you heard that from there. Where did they hear that from? You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, the intelligence could be the counterintelligence. You know what I mean? So like, you don't know where to start or where to even flip a page to and just be like, this should happen, that should happen. Like, to me, what I think is really going on is they just are trying to stir shit up. And it's been since day one of Trump's presidency. Like, if you were to look and say there's a dark hand, shadow government, whatever, to me, the 4-year plan has been, let's just get shit popping. Let's just get chaos going. So that way people are and don't know what to think. Because that's what it seems like is happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, other than that, none of this shit makes sense. Because to me, like, if their plan was to just do this and this shit all came about naturally, there's no shadow government then. Because who the fuck would plan to do some dumb shit like this?
I mean, this is like,
like,
you're not like, if you're trying to make money, I get there's like rich people making money, but at some point that's going to stop. If this keeps going on, like, the only thing that they're doing, if this is all like planned and they're just trying to see what like will happen in the future, all you're doing is getting everyone, I guess, accustomed and acclimated to chaos as much as possible, you know?
Right.
Because I mean,
like,
if there was any time in history before this, before Trump and before all this craziness, like during the pandemic, could you imagine if any group, I mean, I guess we could go into the racial disparity that's being shown here too, where it's like a big ass group of racist white people stormed the Capitol building. They shot somebody. Like, I thought that was bullshit, but I saw the video of that.
No, they did. They shot somebody. I heard that too.
Yeah, so I saw Jordan. I could send you the video, but it's crazy. Somebody just gets shot in the neck.
I mean,
but there's no
nobody's
guns. Like, where were the cops with guns? Where was anybody getting fucked up by cops? Where were the trigger happy cops and that kind of shit? And it's like, you could go into that, but I just think that ultimately, what you're seeing is somebody, one, who wants to so badly get out of going to jail that they're willing to do what Trump's doing, where I think he's just trying to avoid like losing the presidency as much as possible, because that's his only key out of jail.
Well, I haven't even
he literally committed election fraud, and they're putting a phone call out where it's like, how is he not treason?
How is that not inciting a riot though? Like, I gotta listen to what he said.
And he ain't said shit other than said go home. But he in that same video today, he also said the election was still stolen, but go home. It's like, okay, fuck.
Well, did you there's a movie that they just made on Netflix like maybe a couple months back. I forgot the name of it, but it's about, there was a riot in Chicago and they had like Bobby Seale was in Chicago and shit. Like, it's a famous like thing that they made it based off the court trial, but it's like all these people from the past. And like, what happened was this court trial is famous because in it, Bobby Seale is saying that he had nothing to do with it. And he keeps interrupting the court so much that the judge orders them to gag him in an American court live, like in front of like the world, you know what I'm saying? So like, then he's sitting there tied with his hands tied behind his back and a cuff in his mouth and like tape over his mouth and shit, sitting there while they're like going through the court processes. And then the prosecutor goes up to the judge and says, we like, can we stop this? You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to let him go, you know what I'm saying? Because this is crazy. Like, you've made him a sympathetic figure. Now I can't prosecute this man, you know what I'm saying? And like, it's a famous thing that's really happened in real life, but they made this movie. So like in that movie though, the whole reason why these people are even in this court thing was like there were a bunch of students that were trying to organize a protest, and at the protest a riot breaks out because really what happened was is that the cops set them up to get a riot. Basically, these people march down, like I think to some place, and then like all these cops just show up when they leave the park where they were at, and they go back to the park to get their stuff, and these cops are like basically moving in on their campsite, like taking their stuff, burning it, all of that. So these people are like, what the fuck? And somebody says, get him or something like that. And then that's why these people were going to jail, because somebody said, get him. You know what I'm saying? Because like they were trying to say you were a leader, and like they were on a microphone when they said it, but like you're a leader and you had all these people following you, and then you were the one that said, get him. So everybody got him. And then there was a riot and people got shot. But that's what I'm saying. Like these were regular citizens that did this. So just think you're the president now. You have a group of armed people that are outside, and you even said, you said, go bust, go off. You know what I'm saying? Like if you said anything to that extent, that's exciting a riot. Is it not? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, if that isn't, then what is? Like, and also I just got to say that like Trump himself, I just saw this posted on Twitter, like it was actually on my birthday last year. He said during, I believe, the Portland protests that, and this is a Trump quote off of Twitter, anarchists, agitators, or protesters who vandalize or damage our federal courthouse in Portland or in any federal buildings in any of our cities or states will be prosecuted under our recently reenacted Statues and Monuments Act. Minimum 10 years in prison. Don't do it. And then he tagged DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, in the tweet. So this dude is such a dumb motherfucker that he can't keep all of his lies straight. And it shows you what a slime ball he is, where whatever time of day it is, whatever day of the week it is, he might have said something yesterday, and if it doesn't fit his narrative today, it's going the opposite way. He's that plain obvious about it, dude. It's so fucking ridiculous.
To me, what you just said is the most terrifying thing about this motherfucker, because in spite of all that, there's still these people that are actually doing these actions on his behalf. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that's fucking my head up. Because it's like, you could be a dickhead and go out and say some shit. Like, that's what Floyd Mayweather does every fucking day. I ain't gonna listen to nothing Floyd Mayweather ever told me. No advice other than how to get rich, but he don't even really know that because he got rich to be a fucking boxer.
Beating that ass.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Like,
right.
Whooping ass.
You know what I'm saying? But like, that's what I mean. Like, Floyd Mayweather will give you all the advice in the world unsolicited, just like Trump will. That don't mean you got to listen to that shit, because any intelligent person should sit back and say, oh, well, you're a fucking idiot, dude. Like, you can't fucking, like, right now, if that was you in his shoes, as what your common knowledge is, any man, ask him this question. If you were in the president's seat right now, would you just went out there and got all the people to just bust down on the Capitol and not done nothing about it? Would you have done that? No, right? Sound kind of stupid, right? And kind of seem like that's what the president's job is. Like, if there's unrest in the capital of the nation, I should try to quell that versus trying to stir it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't that make sense?
Really cop to the fact he did it. He said all that shit, because basically, here's what the timeline is. I just looked this up on Yahoo News. So basically, at some point, Trump had a rally today in Washington, D.C., I believe.
Right.
Where he told these people to, quote, let me see here. Hold on. Sorry. Trump, who had spoken at a rally earlier in the day, urging demonstrators to, quote, surround the Capitol, was that's what he said. He told them at a rally to surround the Capitol. So they did what he said.
That's like giving out military orders off rip. You're commander in chief, bro.
I mean, his boy Mike Pence was there counting the votes. They stormed in, and Mike Pence is trying to count the votes. I mean, he tried to fucking, it's like, so all these people did all, like, this happened, right? Then he gets on TV at some point and just says, go home. But again, he repeated his claim that this has been stolen from him. So he's only really, he's basically still inciting the same bullshit anyway. He just keeps it going. It's like his thing with white supremacists. He can't condemn it. He'll just be like, he'll say the one thing he has to say, but then he'll go back and be like, but, like, So he
That's
didn't
why I'm
even
bringing
say
up.
like, you know what, I said this. This is on me. I should not. He didn't even indicate that. He was just saying go home. But hey, they're doing the right thing basically. So I
I
don't know,
mean,
man.
see, dude, like what people got to realize too is like with him saying this election is fraudulent, like that's making not just the Democrats look bad. That makes the Republicans look just as bad because we're all part of that same system, dog. So like, if you're sitting there, like that's why a lot of Republicans are jumping off of his ship, like, yo, dude, I can't sit here and co-sign any of this shit anymore. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? Like he
also
lost. Like,
after just today, what happened? How could you, even if he lost the elect or he won the election, are you going to tell me you're going to be the president after all this shit?
I mean,
You know what I
dude,
mean? Like, what the
like
fuck?
imagine if that does happen. Like, what if he can raise up enough shit that they be like, all right, man, you know what? You right, bro. We tried to steal this shit. It was a whole bunch of fraud and shit. You won. Then how are people gonna act after that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it's
like you
just
feel
gonna
me? Like,
rubber band. It's like the other people, like all the fucking blue state people are apparently gonna get
bruh.
guns and shit too now. It's
But
like,
see,
dude,
they're not gonna get nowhere as close to the Capitol though. See,
no, hell no.
that's where the shit is fucked up, and that's why. Like, I will say this, and I brought this up when they did the same shit in Nashville. It's very suspicious to me where this is happening because that same place area in town, they locked the Capitol down like that, bro. There's been times I've gone to the National Mall and it's like there's a car can't even get within 20 miles of that shit, really. You know what I'm saying? Like they can do that if they want to. They know how. The police force can and has done it. Same thing in Nashville when they tore up the city hall in Nashville and shit. Like the area of Nashville where they went, you went down there, you saw it every night. They have over like 300,000 people in that one little part of town. Nothing never happens. They manage
Drunk
everybody,
people
control.
too,
Right,
blackout wasted
right.
people,
So I'm
not
saying
just
control.
normies.
Exactly, bro. Same thing in Hollywood, dude. Like, and they control the flow of people and all that, and they sit there and they manage that. But then all of a sudden some shit pops off where it's like, oh, they tore that part of town up. Do you mean to tell me that the cops couldn't have stopped that, or did they let that happen? Because what I heard on the news was that earlier in the day, when all that shit was going on, they had a bunch of police out there, and then Trump
Yeah.
started talking this shit, and somehow the police force got less and less, and then they allowed that shit to take place. Because then they were saying like, oh, it's just the Capitol Police there, and they like old men and shit, and like, dude, they show literally like an
Bullshit.
action. Dude, did you see the action movie shit? Like they were standing on the side of the door with the guns, like
Yeah.
in a standoff shit. Like,
Did you
that's
see
why.
I mean, this is just a picture from back like a couple months ago, but there was a Black Lives Matter protest at the Capitol. You should see what the cops look like at that one because it looked
Right.
like they had fucking Desert
Those
Storm
aren't the
troops
Capitol.
all
Those
over
aren't
the
the Capitol
place.
Police. Yeah, that wasn't the Capitol Police though. That was like the National Guard.
That was
That's the
straight up,
difference.
yeah, but they were ready.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they were
for sure.
there already. They weren't.
Bro,
There
they've been
weren't any
talking
cops
about
there at all.
Matt. They've been talking about this rally for 2 weeks since I've been.
Yeah.
I live out here, bro. They've been talking about this rally for the last 2 weeks. They could have planned on all this shit. Like that's why I feel like if you want to talk about some shit being staged, that I feel like is some stage shit. Because you can't tell me that you are a national security officer, like whatever you work in the Capitol, you're security, right? Like I've been a security officer, bro. Like every day you go to work and like, yeah, it's a fuck you type of job. You just kind of dicking around, but at the same time, like you are there doing your job. You're being vigilant. You're looking at people. You know what I'm saying? Like you taking note of shit to a degree. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody ain't smart. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it, but like you can't tell me you didn't get briefed beforehand not to fire on them fucking people, dog. Because like if the situation was any like basically that's like if you were in a school and like some Columbine shit popped off. You know what I'm saying? Like an armed gunman runs into your place of business. They aren't shooting.
Shoot somebody in the
right.
fucking neck, dog.
This is an active shooter situation. You see what I'm saying? And like you as a security guard, it's your job and you're an armed man to fire back. But they're sitting there with the door barricaded like fucking Die Hard or some shit.
And you know what
like,
else is real fucked up about what
me?
happened? Like you watch those videos of the people because there's videos of these people going in there. They dumbasses were recording all this shit.
Yeah.
There's people in there taking selfies. There's people in there fucking looking like they're fucking having a great time. Meanwhile, there's a bitch with her neck shot out that I'm assuming one of these dumb fucks did because they had a gun. And it's just, to be honest with you, dude, it's just, I mean, this is more, how deep into the conspiracy do you want to go? Because
that's what I'm saying.
To me, I think it's a simulation. This is either the complete indicator of the simulations in full effect, and like they just hit the intensity button all the way up to 10, or Trump. This is my Trump conspiracy here, and I'm going to lay this out for you right now. I just discussed this with my wife. So what if Trump's that guy in like Die Hard? You know the first Die Hard? You know,
I mean, I gotta think about the villain in it, but I mean,
well, don't even think about the villain. Just think about, this is a trope in a lot of movies, but there's always a guy, and I'm going to reference Die Hard. And in Die Hard, there's this guy who's a hostage that works at the company that's been like taken hostage by the villain that, John McClane is saving. He's a coked up guy with a beard, and he turns on all of his homies so he doesn't die. You know what I mean? So he's like negotiating with the villain, like, hey, fuck all these other people. I'm your guy. I think Trump's that guy. And what's happening is he's in with Russia or some other money of some kind overseas. And they're like, look, make it as unstable as you can. And then you can come over here. Trump's going to do all this. It's going to keep intensifying. We got another 2 weeks before he's out.
Right.
So like right before he's out, he disappears. He shows up in Mar-a-Lago, Russia, Moscow, dude. They can't hide his ass.
I mean, here's the thing, man. I wouldn't put that past him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me is
that's the most simple conspiracy. That's level 1. Well, level 10 is we're in a simulation, and this is like the overlord saying, I want to start. This is all ending. Like, we're gonna make this as crazy as possible.
To me, if you want to throw in that simulation shit, like, I mean, I think some of that is sprinkled in because, like, once again, if we believe in the predictive programming shit, right, and like we talk about how your Facebook page is monitored and catered to your likes and dislikes, these are all things we brought up. They use it to try to, basically guess what you're thinking, to basically try to sell things to you, but also, as we all know, technology has multiple levels. Like, you have a cell phone, but like, what does, the dude underground in Area 51 cell phone look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's that whole thing going on there. So like, if you just want to think of like early predictive programming, like, oh yeah, Greg likes red sneakers, we'll sell him some red sneakers. Or if we show Greg enough things with guns and people rushing the Capitol, Greg will fucking shoot up the president. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I think they're trying to make some semi-Manchurian candidates out of people by harnessing your thoughts and then putting it into your feed constantly. Because like, look at like that Portland shit that you brought up, that happened. They like, the reason why that shit went down and all that was that the people, it was Black Lives Matter people in Portland, I think, that rushed the Capitol. Then in Michigan, it was like the MAGA people, and they let them people run all the way up in there with the guns and shit. Like, you remember they showed that, like, and they've done this multiple times in different cities. You know what I'm saying? So like, they keep showing you this. Now they've done it to the biggest Capitol ever. So like, that to me is evidence.
The president of the United. It ain't even just some crazy. It's like he literally just said go.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So like, that to me, simulation is all sprinkled in there. So like, if you want to throw that on top of it, but then also I think that there is like the warring fractions within the government deeper than just Democrat and Republican. And like, there's evidence of that too, because like, even in the Democratic Party or in the Republican Party, there's the Tea Party Republicans, there's the moderate Republicans, there's the moderate Democrat, then there's like the progressive Democrat or the new age, whatever they want to call them, Bernie Sanders type people. You know what I'm saying? So like, already in your own party, there's warring fractions. Then you want to talk about the dark level CIA, whatever shit. So there's warring fractions amongst that even. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been proof that the FBI and the CIA used to have secret co-op wars going, covert wars going amongst each other and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the army was running, underground tests and all types of crazy shit, like going back to even like the fucking 40s and shit, dog. So like, we can delve into all that shit too, but like, even the creation of the CIA with like Hoover and all that, like, it just shows you that there is evidence of like underground and like manipulation and shit going on in society. So like, and it used to just be on like some racial shit, you know what I'm saying? Where it'd be like, yeah, we're going to make all like these great programs for people and shit, but don't give it to the black folks, you know what I'm saying? Or like, we're going to build this new train in the city, you know what I'm saying? But it's not, the train not going to go to where they stay, you know what I'm saying? Like, usually just kind of like be like that. But then they got to the point where they realized like, oh shit, like, we're fucking the money up because like we could take their money too. So we're gonna integrate the country. And now all that shadow shit they were doing to us, because like, think about it, bro. Like the Tuskegee experiments and all that shit, like they were doing like underground tests on black people. Then now they just took that shit even wider. You know what I'm saying? Like, but now it's not chemical tests so much as it's mental tests. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're literally in the middle of a psyop right now, dude. Like, they're trying to psychologically program you for the next thing. That's why I think that this shit is staged to a degree, because bro, did you see how they had that shit framed up who is the cameraman that stays there while active gunmen come into the building to get the ultimate shot of warriors?
Yeah, I know, right?
Security. You see what I'm saying? Like that's why to me, like, it's so hard because like you call me a conspiracy theorist, but really what I am is a realist that like dissects shit, and I know about cameras and all that shit, just like you do. But I think the average person doesn't ask themselves those questions. You know what I'm saying? Like if you really start asking yourself that question, like, damn, how they get that shot of that image right there? You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things had to happen for that image to take place. Somebody had to let the people get all the way into that place. The guards had to put a barricade up. So like even in that staging right there, it's like, why are we barricading ourselves in the Capitol instead of leaving? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, see what I mean? Like all that shit was like steps that got to that one moment. So now newsworthy shit, of course, media, you know what I'm saying? If it bleeds, it leads. What's better than that? And think it's like what you said was even more fucked up is somebody got shot in the midst of all this.
And what's really fucked up
You know
also is it's like, okay, they were all focused on that vote in Georgia, right? And all the best possibilities that I think most rational people wanted to happen happened. You know, they got some new blood in there. They did they did what Trump didn't want. So they got about a second to savor that, and it was like on to the next thing. And I think like you can really tell, like it's literally they have some like somebody brings something to Trump. Hey, maybe if we focus on these elections over here, we can get people buying into this shit. And when that gets taken down, it's on to the next thing.
Yeah.
On to the next.
But see, here's the problem though with your theory is that if I was the shadow man, why would I use that as my puppet? You see what I'm saying? Like that's why I think that a lot of those MAGA people, what they think is that the shadow man exists, but that Trump jumped their man by beating that whatchamacallit in the election or whatever, Hillary. So now they think he's like the savior. That's what the whole idea is.
Is anyone happy with how we're doing right now? Like who's happy?
That's what I'm saying.
What's going on? I mean,
like, and here's my thing though. Even if you do want to believe that, like, let's say you're one of the MAGA, you want to say like, yeah, he's going against them. He's trying to clean up those swamps and all that bullshit. Where is the proof of that, bro?
Yeah,
like,
where? What is like what's a decent thing he's done? Show me one thing.
Right. And then on top of everything else, it's like, dude, you up here stirring the pot because like he almost won, dog. Like that's what people got to realize. Like, yeah, the election was close. It was. Like, we get it, but that doesn't mean people did something, you know, wrong or whatever.
It's always close. There's two candidates, bitch. Like there ain't much room for it to be a landslide when there's only two people you're voting for.
Right. But here's the thing though, he could have won if he hadn't been saying all that bullshit, bro. If he had laid off some of that racial shit even just a little bit, stop saying the China virus, dude. Because like you gotta realize, bro, Chinese people got mad businesses in this country, dog. Pay taxes and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
that's like human
shit like that.
Shit. You don't even
really
even like
but
you got evidence that they legit made it and got it out there and did it. Well, then bring it to light, and then you can call it whatever the fuck you want because you brought that shit to light. But you got nothing. All you got.
I'm just saying from
like
he's
like Bill. He's like, you know that character Bill Brasky in SNL. It's just some junk. He's just some drunk asshole that's just spouting off at the mouth. It's like
I'm just saying just from like. Right. But I'm just saying just from like even being a politician, dog, like just have decency. Like you said, man, like it's a certain way you're supposed to go about talking about shit. You know what I'm saying? And like the fact that he's dropped all decorum and shit, bro. And like these people are doing this now. Cause it's like you said, bro, they literally democratically went about the vote like they did everywhere else. Like you're sitting here getting in an uproar about this Georgia vote and they all want to storm that Capitol. But like mad other votes were just as close in other places around the country. You know what I'm saying? And like, ain't nobody do that shit. Like, this is the epitome of just like disgust. You know what I'm saying? I think that's, I
agree with the Manchurian candidate thing too, because the people who support him, like you said, it's like they don't give a fuck. They've only have this one feed of information going at him. And if you present anything else, he's created this little reality bubble where anything that isn't pro him and like agreeing with what he's saying is false news. It's fake news. Oh, they're saying that I said that on July 27th, 2020. That's bullshit. I didn't do that. Well, how do you argue with somebody who can just like will willingly just keep saying, well, that's fake. Oh, they photoshopped that. I didn't say that. We went back and saw it. You did say this. No, they changed it. Okay. Like, okay, dude, like we get it. You're unstoppable, but everybody just listens to him and they blindly follow this guy, and no matter what the fact is, no matter what the lie is. So I kind of believe what I totally believe what you're saying, that I don't know, it's not really a Manchurian candidate thing. You're basically manufacturing a false reality that is it's
to get a reaction, to bring up an emotional
that's just pro-Trump.
Yeah.
And if you go against it, that whoever's in that bubble, it's going to come right at you. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I think. That's what I think these moments are. Is them trying to take that thought wheel and spin it into an action form. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then they say like, oh, like we've been pushing in this thing to these people, and like he said he's gonna go. You know what I mean? Because like that's the thing that you got to realize. Like a lot of people give up a lot of their information online. So like they even know who was gonna go before they went. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that. Like they can look at your GPS and see where you're going, dog. Like all these things. Like people don't understand. Like everything you do on your phone is so creepy.
Like there was probably a guy like looking at blips on some map somewhere, like look at all these people going to the Trump rally, and they're literally just tracking. It's crazy to think
they saw it. You can't tell me they can't do that. You know they can. I know for a fact that exists. You know what I'm saying?
Have to be able to.
That's what I'm saying. We know they can, dude. Like if nothing else, like, and this is where people think you're crazy, but like if you want to once again believe they show you things. They've shown this technology in so many movies, and on top of everything else, Edward Snowden came out and said it. It's real too. But like in this movie, like in Batman, in Enemy of the State, in motherfucking like you can go down the list in Fast and Furious, like it's like 8 movies that you can just name on top of your head where they show there's a computer that literally is linked to the entire system of the world that can say, oh, Greg Norman, let's look him up. Born 1962, got a 2-inch dick. Like they can look at literally every part of your life and down to that microscope like level, and then pull a camera up and pull this dude face up and see what he's doing and be like, oh, he's in his house right now taking his shit.
This guy's beating off.
What I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like straight up, like that. Like we know this is real. So like you can't tell me they didn't know this was about to go down. Like that's why I feel like. I mean, I feel like maybe Trump let his security people just let it happen. I don't know.
I mean, this article I'm reading, he has people there's reporters that are always around that guy, like there are people that are house reporters. There's people around him. That guy was just in his dining room watching it all happen. Just
right.
Probably even check this out. Some fucking French fries or some fat.
What we were saying about that Manchurian candidate thing, right? It brings up something funny, and we can bring a little bit of light to it too. Your boy, Tommy Segura.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh, man.
Tom Segura. God, man. Like that guy's whole life changed just because he wanted to play some basketball.
I mean, this is my thing, dog. Like I this is how I found out about it. First off, I literally had just started watching some Tom Segura like on Netflix and shit, just like random as fuck. Just looked at one of his old stand-ups, and I brought him up to talk about this first, which was that one of his jokes, he says that his dad told him when he was a kid that Harrison Ford was gay. You know what I'm saying? So like he goes for like his whole life thinking Harrison Ford is gay. You know what I'm saying? And like I brought this up to relate to like the Trump shit, where it's just like somebody could say something and just believe that shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like,
damn.
Yeah. But then he said that he fucking meets somebody and he says it one day, and like the person's like, Harrison Ford ain't gay, man. Like I know him. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got a fucking wife and kids, and like their family's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, what? It's like, man, my dad told me that shit. And so he goes to his dad and it's like, no, what the fuck? Dad told me Harrison Ford was gay. He's like, oh. I thought he was, and then that's all his dad
like somebody could. That's happened to me, I'm sure it's happened to you, where you just when you're a kid, somebody's like, no, you can't do that, or that's this. You would go your whole life thinking that shit. That is funny. Oh as fuck.
Man, I could tell y'all a funny story about me where that happened, but I'll leave that for another day. But yeah, man, straight up. So like that just showed you like that thing you're saying with Trump. Like now, imagine that was just one person's dad telling them that, right? So now imagine you got all your people telling you that, but then you go online and oh shit, it's right here on Facebook, and then I click on the article. You know what I'm saying? Like
and
that's
that
why
little algorithms funneling only that at you, so you don't get all like the millions of people are like, this guy's an asshole. Like that whole wave, just you're avoiding it.
That's why I feel like this is some bullshit, bro. But like, I mean, you can't tell me it's nothing else at this point, bro. Because we've been talking about this since we started shooting this podcast, and like, To me, it's like the
A
execution
year,
of it.
bro. We basically have been doing this shit a year. I know, like we're on episode 36, I think, but this has almost been a year of the pandemic. It started basically in March, but you could say it started around now. But this whole time we've been doing this and we've been laughing and just joking about this shit. That's basically, I think, what these people depend on. It's
I
like
think this is
the
just
news
them
cycle. You
I
kind of
think
lose focus on it. It goes away and then it comes back. And like this guy depends on you not remembering all this bullshit he said. So when he tells another lie that goes against that lie, you don't remember it. You know, it
I
kind of
mean,
it dulls the anger a little bit.
I don't even think it's that. I think they just don't care, bro. Like I think that they think that all the times that he's shown a lie is just the news trying to make him look bad, is what those people think. Because like
Yeah,
literally that's all CNN does. My mom keeps it on, dude. And like literally he'll say something and then they have a fact checker come on immediately as he's saying it and be like, nah, that's wrong because this and that. And you know what I'm saying? Like all the people that work there, dog. Like what's that dude? Van Jones and all, they literally just come on immediately afterwards and be like, well, that's wrong because of this and this and this. And it's just like, damn. So like, why aren't these people hearing that? It's because they choose not to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what it is. Like, I think that like, these are people that have already decided the government's against them because they broke, you know what I'm saying? And like, the problem I think that a lot of people don't understand, dude, is like race plays such a big part in a lot of all this shit. And like, it's hard to really say it because like you have to jump to a lot of assumptions that aren't really assumptions though. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I think there are a lot of, I'm gonna say it and I don't want anybody to get mad. I think there's a lot of poor white folks that are doing this right now. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
that probably
Well,
are down on
poor
their luck.
trash.
That are, well, you said that. I ain't trying to call nobody trash,
Well,
but
as somebody who is white, I'm married. I can't handle this. Like you
yeah.
have fucked they're like, what do these white people think is gonna happen? Like, we're gonna lose like whatever advantage we have. Do you think even if anything happens where some other group of people gets power, that white people aren't still gonna be in power? Or like
Well, what
how
I think that,
like do you think that
I don't even know.
they
Yeah,
think that
that's
some
true.
sort of catastrophic thing's going to happen where as white people, like I just am not part of this brand. Like I don't know what they think's going to happen, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like only thing that's going to happen is the world's going to get better because we can all hang out. It's not, oh, they're getting something and I'm getting nothing. It's you're
Right.
broke. That's why
Right.
you're a fucking broke motherfucker. There's a lot of us, white, black, everybody. It's like that what people should realize is that's the real thing that is being separated now. It's like
yes.
all these people are getting all this money, and there's so many people that aren't getting any money or little money, and even like, and there's no middle anymore. It's either you're here or
Right.
you're way up here, and
Well,
that's
that's
where
what
the anger should really be. But you're right.
yes.
The racial shit's too deep.
Well, no, what you're saying is exactly the point I was getting to is that what you're saying is they're using the racial shit to hide the point you just made, which is that there are these people that are you either got it or you don't, you know what I'm saying? And like what it used to be was that the people that don't got it was usually minorities, you know what I'm saying? Like really it was African Americans, you know what I'm saying? Like strategically through a lot of things that we've talked about on this podcast once again, where they pull moves to try to keep people down, you know what I'm saying? But now what I think the average, you know, middle-class white person or redneck, whatever you want to call them, is finding out is that they're doing this to me too now, you know what I'm saying? And like, the only thing that they have really to hold on left is that, well, at least I'm not a black person, you know what I'm saying? That's why like, but that's why that whole Black Lives Matter shit was so deep, you know what I'm saying? That's why that shit was such a big thing, was because that was the last vestige of like their hope, I guess. I don't even know how to explain that, you know what I'm saying? Because that's really not where my head was with that. But on the flip side, from a black person standpoint, it's the same thing though. Like when you've been economically down and like I said, you can go through the history books, bro. Like they've literally systematically like made it so that generational wealth would not get passed amongst like the black community as easily as it does other communities. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like if your daddy had a farm, bro, and like 20 acres that the government helped give him or subsidize whatever because he's growing lima beans and shit for them and he's making the extra 10 G's on top, like your family eat off that money, bro, and then your grandkids eat off that money, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like a perpetual thing, you know what I mean? Where
it's
even
like still happening. It's not like that's gone away. I mean, it's it's even so bad even to this day that there's like people in certain areas, like I know Killer Mike was doing this in Georgia, I think, where they're setting up like black owned and operated banking systems so that these things that modern day banks seem to do, which is more of the same, if you're black and you go to get a business loan, you might not get it, whereas a white person would go and get it.
Right.
It's one of those
Right.
things. So they feel the need to have a separate bank because shit is still so fucked up, which is insane, dude.
Yeah.
It's so fucking crazy.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's really what people got to understand is like, that's what the game of America is, bro. It's like, how do you get your money and make your money so that, it can work for you in a way where you don't have to, you can put other people to work on your behalf. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this book I just got, it's called The Creature of Jekyll Hyde, and it talks about the Federal Reserve and fiat currency and all that shit. It's like a famous known book. But what it's all about is that even this shit that's going on is even tied into it too, where essentially like the entire creation of the Federal Reserve was to trick the American people into giving our wealth over to another bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and like, because we've done that, it weakened our government too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's things that we've, me and you know about this shit already. You know what I'm saying? Like that fiat currency and all that shit. But like, really, that's what that whole racial shit was tied into too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, all these things are like, go back to these same like circular things. And like, I think that they've practiced this so long over generations that now they know how to pull the strings just right, where they can incite riots and do all these things. They've done it for, they've had 4 years.
Down, dude. You're right. Like,
yeah,
it does
you see what I'm
seem
saying?
like it's like they perfected that option. And also in terms of what you were saying about just these systems and this shit that's been put in place from the beginning of the country to subjugate black people and keep them down, or any minority. Basically, my thought about our government has always been like, and I know comedians and other people have echoed this, if we're working off a document that fucking old, the people who created that shit were owned slaves. They had all these fucked up ideas about life and the world that were based off ignorance because they were just in that time. There wasn't the things that we have at our disposal. I can talk to somebody on camera in real time in England, and there's no delay. I don't need to like send a carrier pigeon to them to get news of my mammy and if she's alive and shit. It's just there's different shit going on. So if we're working off of these old ass dumb fucking documents, then of course all this bullshittery is gonna go around because they've had this long, however long the Constitution's been around, however long America's been around, the evil people who like to twist and fuck those rules for their advantage have had that long to perfect all that bullshit. So why not keep America? We're great. We're fucking dope. Change the shit to modernize where we're like, we have a base. Erase all this bullshit and like use our knowledge to update that shit so we can't have all this kind of bullshittery happen anymore because it's nonsense.
It's funny because what you're saying, the reason why they wouldn't do that, like I said, it goes back to that whole fiat currency shit. Because it's like for them to do that, they basically have to re-change how money
it's just
is.
like they're lazy.
Yeah.
It's like if you did something and somebody's like, hey man, you got to start from the beginning again. Of course, that sucks.
Right.
You get pissed. That happens to me at work all the time. It's like you'll do something for 3 hours, present it, and they're like, no, I'm sorry, that was wrong. Here, this is the real thing. Do it again. And of course, you are fucking pissed. But you know what? Sometimes that just is what it is. Sometimes you build a Lego set and somebody knocks it over and you didn't finish it. You got to start from scratch. It just is what
or
it
you
is.
built a shitty Lego, because that's really the point you make. You know what I'm saying?
You might have to just eat that. I don't have any say in the game. I don't give a fuck I don't give a fuck if they change it. You know what I mean? If you're going to try to improve it, if it's not some asshead like Trump or some Nazi motherfucker that's trying to change it in that way, and it's like a real deal, new age fucking, we're all one, it's never going to happen. But if that happened, I'm all for it, man. We want all to be equal. Go for it. Who's not for that? You know what I'm saying? So
the people that are on top
now and still use this old ass document, then I guess I need to just stop being pissed when all this bullshit happens, because it's just going to keep happening.
Man, what's even crazier to me is I'm of the belief that document means absolutely nothing. I feel like the Constitution
it doesn't, dude. It don't mean a damn thing.
Yeah. I feel like that's just been null and void. I mean, like you can just an even active proof. Like you can be once again. Today is the greatest day in American history to prove this. You can be white and storm the Capitol with a gun on your hip, and nobody's going to do anything. Whereas the same Second Amendment right as a black man, I cannot express even in the slightest bit.
Motherfucker, you can't even express your right to protest. Fuck a gun.
Yeah.
You can't even go out
Yeah,
on a
you see what I'm
block
saying?
and just be like, fuck the government. You'll get
Right.
shot.
You see what I'm saying? Exactly. So like that whole Constitution shit, like, yeah, we can say the document's obsolete or like it's old and needs to get re-updated. What needs to really happen is that everybody needs to really take a deeper look into what they want their rights to even mean. You know what I'm saying? Because like, do you want your rights to mean that you can go out and say fuck the government? Then it needs to be clear and plain that that's a thing that you can do. Because like, I think as it stands right now,
break it down and set up these rules and restrictions, like you can't have guns, you can't. I mean, do something, man, because it's just getting to the point now where I can't believe it's me, dude. I'm not a smart dude. I'm not cultured. You know me. We were just talking about it. If I'm in an interview, like we're doing this, I'm talking about busting nuts, big titties. Like it's not professional. I'm not fine dining in any way. I'm Denny's, okay? But if somebody like me is sick of all this shit, aware of this shit, and knows that there's no way out of it, then can we just come to a general consensus that what's happening now clearly ain't the way to go about things anymore? It's done. This is stupid. We got broke people everywhere. You and I can't ever get out of these fucking student loans, just like everyone else. There's a bunch of raging racists storming the Capitol. There's a pandemic. I forgot about that. That's surging and worse than ever. And I mean, is this the end of the world, dude?
I mean, here's the thing, Matt.
Remember, did you watch Last Man on Earth?
Yeah, I see that.
You know how everyone got killed by a disease in that show, right? Like pneumonia. Well, in that show, it was basically indicated that they never showed it, but everyone on Earth died from a disease like pneumonia because no one believed that the disease existed. It was something like that. So people just continued to die in mass until there was literally only a few hundred people left. Is that where we're at? Is that what's about to happen?
Hey, man.
I don't want that to happen. I don't even want to joke about it, but it's like, I said this to Kendra. I was like, I was high. I just smoked a lot of weed. And I just said, wouldn't it just be crazy if that's what this is? This is literally, we're right in the middle of it. We're in the time where everyone's like, no, it doesn't exist. But in like a year, there's just going to be dead bodies everywhere. And there's going to be a few people left like, what the fuck?
Well, my whole thing with that is like the whole thing of it doesn't exist. Why is that even still a thing? You know what I'm saying? Like these people, like I don't even get that. You know what I'm saying? Like that just beyond me at this point.
It's all over the world. That's what I'm saying. Is like if it was just us somehow, I'd be like, okay, maybe this is like some fuckery. It's everywhere, and it's getting worse and worse everywhere, dude.
If you're a true Trumpite, he had it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a true Trumpist, he had the shit. So, like, you don't think you're believing everything he says. You don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part I don't get. Like,
just
I don't know.
Get a fucking twisted tea and smack that fuck in the face. Get that guy in the White House. Get him in there.
But here's the thing, bro. Like, and I think it was like 1991 or something, man. Michael Jackson tried to save the world, bro. You know what I'm saying? He tried to do it with Stevie Wonder and them, and McCarthy and all them got together. And what's his name? Lennon was in it, right? Wasn't all the people there, right?
I mean, I know what you're talking about. You know,
yeah, so
John Denver was there, fucking chilling.
Michael Jackson tried to save the world, bro, and it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? So if he couldn't do it, like, I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know, man. That's a weird person to invoke. Like, Mike tried to save. Yeah, he did try to save the world.
I'm just saying, like,
time.
I'm just saying that was almost 30. That was almost 40 years ago now, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? This is the point where it's like, if you knew we need to save and then it's like, well, shit ain't got no better, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Like crazy to me. Here's like a funny little anecdote. Before I went, let me think here. I got to time this in my life. It was actually after film school, actually. So I went to LA I had a massive, I failed and failed, and I just couldn't get anything. We've talked about it ad nauseum. But at some point, I had a massive tooth problem that I had to move back east to get fixed. So got it fixed, had to live in Virginia, in your area, neck of the woods. And while I was there, I had to get a job. I had to live and work in northwestern Virginia, basically. And I worked at a bookstore. And you know the area where I'm talking about, like Harrisonburg.
Yeah.
Like you know the type of people that were there. Or at least you know where that's at. So,
Yeah.
not it's a college town. I worked in a bookstore in a mall. So just dealing with a lot of basically rednecks or maybe college kids. But one time this guy came in. I was working by myself at the cash register, and he was wearing all camo, all weird, and he put like some kind of prepper magazine on to like pay for it. And I just like was into conspiracies at the time, and I was like, "Oh man, you're interested in this stuff?" And this guy, I swear, man, I used to think this guy was a lunatic, but now I'm almost wishing I would have listened to him a little bit more. He's like, "Hell yeah, man, check this out." And he like pulls out this thing, and I thought it was like he was trying to like give me drugs, but it was just like this thing wrapped in aluminum foil. And I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "Oh, it's my phone." He just had his flip phone wrapped in aluminum foil, right? And I was like, "Oh, damn, that's crazy." He's like, "Check this out." And he took his hat off, and in the hat was aluminum foil. And I was like, "Oh shit." And you know me, dude. I don't like that. I like sometimes will be like wanting to have that interaction, but once you kind of realize who you're talking to, you don't really want to be there anymore.
No, you should ask him, could you spend the night over his house, bro?
So he shows me his hat, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm talking to a real one." I was like, "Yeah, so what's that all about? Just if you don't mind me asking." He's like, what do you know about people tracking you?" And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, like every mile marker on the highway has a tracking system where they ping your phone. So I put this aluminum foil on it so they can't track me, and I put this on it so they can't track my thoughts, because they can actually do that too, if you didn't know." And then he started going in like this weird Vietnam shit. But this was like 12 years ago, dude. Like this was a while ago.
Right.
And now 12 years later, I'm like, that guy's probably like, that guy was right.
Well, this is the thing though. Like this is my argument with that guy, is that I would tell you that they were planting the seeds in that guy's head back then. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like so all this is the epitome of that.
Is that more of an indication we are in a simulation where like
what I think is going on
with newer technology?
What I really think is going on, dude, and like I don't want to. This is gonna be on some crazy shit, so stay with me. But no, like I really believe that if you look into the physics and what we know about the human body and all that, and the existence of the soul, all that shit, right? Your mind, your thoughts, essentially, we as humans are antennas. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it sounds crazy. Like I was just like, just stay with me. But like they've shown experiments that show like your thoughts and your brain have like electromagnetic signals outside of your head. You know what I'm saying? They've also shown that like when you go in to access your memory, there's not one single area of your brain that lights up to access a memory. Your entire brain lights up, and then it's like the actual memory you pull from somewhere else, almost like it's outside of you. But like you'll remember a smell, your smell sensors will light up like it's real. You know what I'm saying? So like,
isn't that crazy too when you smell something from like when you were a kid and you're like, holy fuck. I went to a restaurant that I used to go to when I was like, 10.
Right.
That when shit was opened up, I went back to visit my family. But I walked into that restaurant and now I was literally like, it smelled exactly the same, dude. I was like a little fucking kid. It was weird.
I mean, restaurants is always gotta keep
I'm a fat kid, dude. Everyone, my wife will tell you if I have a good memory, it's related to food. I'm always like, there was this cookie one time or some shit.
Oh, shoot, man, I'm the same way. I just wasn't that fat, but shit, I'm the same way. Shit, I love fucking food, man. Shit.
And also, to kind of combine two things you were talking about human antennas and Tom Segura. Tom Segura's antenna is all fucked up after that accident.
We're
gonna show the video right now.
Not happy,
Oh, he dead.
Yeah.
Oh my God. His arm, it's like, here's the best thing, dude, because you saw it just now. I saw that video. They did a New Year's Eve. Him and Bert Kreischer did a New Year's Eve like live stream thing.
Yeah.
And really the main thing was that they showed that video because it hadn't been, he didn't release the video until that night. And they showed it over and over again. And the funniest thing about it is that Bert Kreischer's laughing his ass off hysterically, as he always does, because he was there too. They were just basically doing like this weird, they were trying to play 2-on-1 basketball with some YouTube celebrity kid.
Yeah.
But then they got into the dunk thing, and that's where it happened. Well, Tom Segura did what he did, right? Bert Kreischer saw his arm all fucked up, dangling, and it was like twisted and turned the wrong way because the ball was so broke. Yeah. And he's like, I grabbed it and I turned it around, and after like for a week, because he didn't know, like he thought he had catastrophically fucked up Tom Segura's nerves because he's like, I just wanted it to look right. And he literally grabbed his gimpy arm and twisted it back so it looked right, dude.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's how Aaron, we're never going to play basketball again, bro. I'm sorry.
Well, the shit
I'm done.
Well, the shit that I saw it on, it's funny because it was like a doctor that was explaining what happened to him. So it's like a professional doctor watching it clip by clip, being like, so what really happened was first he snapped his patella, and if you listen here, you can hear the pop. So like he's playing it back and like pop, that sound right there. That's his knee. He's like, that's his knee exploding.
And for everyone that wants to know what a patella is, feel the front of your leg. Feel your knee,
where your kneecap is.
Feel that thing in front of it that kind of goes down to your leg. That snapped. So he basically couldn't move his leg at all. It was just
Yeah. And the doctor's like saying, he's like, that's why he flailed in the air, and that's what made him land weird to break his arm, which isn't really that bad because the doctor was actually saying like the dude putting his arm back was a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, but what's hilarious is for like a week, Bert Kreischer was like helping Tom Segura in the hospital, and he was like, anytime I could get near a medical guy, he's like, he would just be casually say, like if somebody like twisted his arm back, would that have messed up any of his nerves? Or like he would try to keep getting like indications that he didn't fuck his friend's arm up for the rest of his life.
His friend fucked his own arm up.
I mean, dude, but what's really funny is how, that's why I love comedians. Like they just watch that shit over and over again. Just busted his balls because I mean,
oh hell yeah, man.
He's in his 40s. You have and Tom Segura's like every guy I talked to, like all the EMTs that like helped him and shit, were like, why were you playing basketball with that young ass kid like that? Like, why did you do that?
Bro, the doctor said in that video, he's like, your patella usually tears when you start doing activity when you haven't in a while, or if you didn't warm up properly. It's something that you really got to look out for when you get older too. Like right as you just watching it.
God damn, bro.
I'm like, damn, bro. Yeah, man. So terrible news for that dude. But I mean, hey,
I just had to get that last little Tom Segura thing.
I was gonna jump back to that at the end
about like antennas and like, I mean,
yeah.
At this point, if I feel like what you're saying is true, where maybe memories do come from some sort of like,
well, this is what I was getting at, right?
Stratosphere almost, like you're pulling shit out of the cloud. If that was like a real thing.
Right. Well, this is what I'm telling you. I think that is real.
When you say antenna, what kind of I feel in relation to that is, I think we are all antennas now. We have these phones next to us all the time.
Oh yeah.
And if our name's attached to it, essentially that's our antenna. So like, if you want to talk about that and our people knowing our moves before we make them and knowing our thoughts before we have them or what we love and don't, that's so easy now. I don't know what the program or how they do it or what it looks like when they receive all this information, but somewhere some guy knows the Pornhub video I watched this morning or the thing I looked at on Amazon. Like me and my wife were talking about buying a space heater, and I texted my dad just a question about it. And right after that, a bunch of shit pops up on my Facebook feed about space heaters. A YouTube video
Yeah.
popped up about space
Yeah.
heaters and like bad space heaters. It's like,
Yeah.
clearly, if you don't believe that's happening, then I got nothing for you. I can't
Well, that's
even
what.
deal with
Well,
you if you don't.
let me get back on my crazy dog, because like
Sorry,
that's why I was.
I had to let you out of it. Go for it.
But
Go in.
that's what I was getting to, right? So like, if you saying that antenna thing, right, and like what you just said, that you think there's a real life thought cloud, I think that is a real thing. That I think that science has even gone to show exists, and that now they know happens, so they're doing experiments. Because like that whole movie, like the Men That Stare at Goats and shit, like that was a real thing. Project MK
Yeah.
Ultra, like these were all like mind experiments that the government, tried to figure out what's going on, not just inside our brains, outside our brains, how does trauma affect people, like all these things, you know what I'm saying? So like these things all really happen. So now you're looking where we are 60 years into the future, where they've had this knowledge for 60 years and they've experimented and figured it out to where they can fine tune it now, where I think that the internet and the cloud that we think, the hard drives and shit, is a real thing that they're trying to use to manipulate, to mimic our thought cloud, or like like our mind cloud or whatever. So like they use the internet to mimic that same thing. So they know that since that thing is ethereal, they're trying to make like a physical thing. Like that's kind of what the Bible even tells you: as above, so below. And like if you believe in the shadow people or whatever, like they're trying to mimic themselves as gods in order to pretty much rule us as servants. You know what I'm saying? Like put themselves as kings, whatever. King is the same thing as a god. You see what I'm saying? Like this is a system that they keep reiterating. That's why the Bible has kings in it. That's why they tell you these stories, you know what I'm saying? So that you accept it as being the norm. You know what I mean? Like they're basically trying to shape reality in their own thing. And I think that they figured out a way, like you said, through the phones and everything, they have a number attached to you where they can literally look and say, IP address, this and this, looked at that. He wants to buy one of these. I sell them. I can make money off of that. Also, I also know that maybe he wants to buy a space heater because his room is cold. So check this out. I'm gonna send him some shit to get his windows insulated. You see what I'm saying? Like all those things. And then if you really wanted to even delve even deeper in that, what if you get the insulator? They can put a fucking CIA operative in there. You can put a microphone in your house. They don't really need to do that because the microphone's in your phone. You know what I'm saying? But like basically, like the idea of being omnipresent as a deity is something that they're trying to mimic on Earth through technology. You know what I'm saying? Like,
damn, I never
like,
even thought about that kind of shit. Like on that.
that's
level,
what that's what Avatar is about.
People like we're gonna be gods now. That's
what
crazy.
Avatar is about, bro. Avatar is that exact premise. The spirit people of the Avatar world were fighting technology invading their home, and they had the God tree that they were saying was alive and connected them all, like our thought cloud, that they were trying to infiltrate to destroy their world. That's how they finally destroyed them people, was that they got into the cloud through their avatar, bro. See what I'm saying? Like you look at all that shit, you be thinking that it's just some bullshit, but then you'd be like, damn, if you actually look at, once again, reality is being mimicked, like, you know what I'm saying? Like fantasy mimics reality and all that shit, dog. Like that's what they're doing. They're trying to shape their crooked thought into a real life thing, into a actual physical thing. And I think that's one thing that we don't realize as people, is that we all can do that. Like you manifest your thoughts into reality. Like you take something that was ethereal, you make it into a physical thing. Like that's the ultimate form of godhood. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what God did. So if you believe the Bible, he spoke things into existence. They're trying to do the same thing with technology. That's what I think is the real battle going on here, bro. Like I know that shit sounds crazy, and like we tie all these other things into it. Like I said, like I didn't want to jump all the way on some deep spiritual shit, but
I don't even got shit to say to that.
You see what I'm saying? Like when you really start looking at what's really going on, bro. Like when I say it's a psyop, bro, like you in a war for your mind, dog. Because like everything else you already lost. Your pockets is under control. You see what I'm saying? Like they give you credit, bro. Like that off rip, everybody should have raised a red flag and been like, wait a second. You can give me a fictitious amount of money that you're willing to lend me just because I am who I am, and it's all based off of each individual. How is that fair? If we all want to be the same and equal, you know what I'm saying? So like for example, I could probably get more money given to me because of how I've handled my business affairs or whatever versus you know what I'm saying? But then on the flip side, if I'm broken down and out and I might actually need credit, because like I don't really need it, you know what I'm saying? I don't live off of credit, but some people do, you know what I'm saying? But then if that's also a bad thing, to live off of it is a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like all these ways you use it and all that, it's a game. So that's one example. Your pockets are under control. Your bank under control. See what I'm saying? Like then your government under control. Then now they're trying to get your movie, your entertainment, your news, your information. Everything is being funneled to you by certain controlling hands that feed these things to you, which is basically a cloud. It's a technology cloud. You see what I'm saying? Because like, how do you verify things? You go into it and you say, oh, what did that really happen in 1942? I wasn't there, so I don't know. But all somebody got to do is type a different sentence where it said in 1942 this happened, and then now that's fact. You know what I'm saying? Or all I got to do is one bad search, and now it's my fact. Because that's what the other thing that you got to realize is not everybody know how to use the internet the same. You know what I'm saying? Or wants to use it the same either.
That's what I was about to say, because nobody wants to go, oh, I read this, and then be like, but let me read the other thing, and then let me go into another. That's what you really have to do.
Right. But they know that you're not.
Even if you trust the news source you're reading off grip, you got to it at least behooves you not to see what the crazy people are saying. I mean, but nobody wants to do that. I don't do that. Unless it's some fucking crazy shit that I get in an argument about, and I'm like, well, I got to see what the real deal was so I don't sound like an idiot. If it's something like that, yeah, but most people are just lazy, dude. It's just like,
but what's even
you don't want to put in the extra work. You just want to believe what you believe, and it's like, I don't. It's like when you have an argument in your family, and it's almost like we've all been there, where it's just like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Something like that, where you just can't ever get it out. It's like, well, this is never going to get closed because you just can't like sit here and listen to it, you know?
Hell yeah.
So,
but I'll tell you this though, I think that the searches are even manipulated too. Like they've shown that based off of where you live, Google gives different suggestions based off of your search shit. So like if you live in California, you look up like green plants, you know what I'm saying? Like it might say green plants to eat versus if I live in like Oregon, it might say green plants to smoke, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever, just an example, you know what I'm saying? But like, but that's something that happens too. So even that is being manipulated. So like you might look up trying to get the right information, but then you can't find it because they don't want to funnel that to you. You see what I'm saying? Like, and a whole lot of shit went down too with the FCC, when Obama was in office, where they kind of sold the internet to private corporations too. So like that all happened too. So like, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like we've already been put under control in every way, in every facet, except for your thought space. And you can't tell me they're not trying to do that.
Well, Aaron, this is what I want right now today. We get Joe Rogan. We get that guy who slapped that dude in the face with a twisted T, right? They storm the White House. They get through. Dude hits Trump in the dome with the twisted T, just like he did the guy he did, which I love that video.
Can I just say I'm kind of anti that guy, twisted T guy, because like here's the thing, I'm all for you stepping up and being like, don't call him the N-word, like 100%. But I feel like there's a code of just being like a better person in the world that you have to look at that.
I mean, but here's the thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not worth it. You know
I would have said it all the way up until he dropped the twisted T and the guy kind of kicked it and shit. Like you could tell that guy was about to hit that guy with the twisted T for about 2 minutes. He was holding that shit like a knife or like a fucking club already.
That's what I'm saying. Like he had talked himself out of it. It's like you already knew what the right thing to do was right there, bro. You should have just walked away.
But I feel like he dropped it. He almost had a second thought, but as soon as the guy kicked it, he blasted him with one final like end bomb, or he said something, and I was like,
he did
the way up to that last one when he finally. But he just, I mean, whatever you think, the just satisfaction of seeing that thing. He hit the guy so hard with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, but see, the thing that I don't like about stuff like that is like that gets turned into entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I totally understand that. But that guy, we've all seen that guy, that white dude.
Oh yeah,
we've all seen that guy, and you want that guy to get that done to him anyway. It just you shouldn't do that.
Or what I'm saying is you shouldn't do it publicly like that, is what I feel. Because like that can be a charge now. That guy could have got really hurt. Right. Like what I'm saying is like you take him outside.
Like that aggressively is actually is like if somebody hits you, it's like self-defense at that point.
Maybe but
not,
like
maybe not.
I just me personally, I just would have scrapped him in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't have popped him with the T. You just would have waited. Yeah. I just would have. I would have been outside, and then I would have been like, "Hey, where you in at now, mug?" And then you know what I'm saying, just ran up on him and drug him through this dirt a little bit, and then you know what I'm saying.
Here's why I don't like this. Is also why I don't like the internet. Him and the homies could have just had that video and just been watching that themselves, laughing their ass off at their house afterwards, and just that would have been great. But you're right, putting it out, like, whatever. I get it. It's not a great look.
I just like I said, I feel like that guy, like, because you've all been there where it's that one drunk dude, and it's like, man, I should just pop you, but if I do it, then I'm wrong because you're
and also
helpless.
you're in a better state of mind where you just you're a sympathetic person that's like, man, this guy ain't worth it. It's like one of those things. But anyway, just so I can be funny. Twisted Tea guy and Joe Rogan storm the White House. They get in. Twisted Tea guy slaps Trump in the face, and then Joe Rogan just force feeds Trump mushrooms until he succumbs, and they interview him together and just like show the world this thing. Because
you couldn't give him
that's
mushrooms,
what Trump
bro.
needs. He needs a mushroom trip, like one of those real, like the real deal when you eat like 10 grams and see God, and you can't look away. Like even if you shut your eyes, you see the same shit. So he needs that.
When you've already sold your soul, bro, you can't. It doesn't work anymore.
But that's when it's terrifying. See,
it just takes you to hell.
Shit. When you take mushrooms, you see evil shit. So
it takes you to hell
to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's what'll happen to him. He's gonna have a come to Damascus moment. Is what Abby gonna say. Gonna be fucking screaming. Yeah,
like you're basically saying, I'm gonna force you into being a good person. This is the pill. 10 pounds of mushrooms right now.
Oh man, it'll be a nightmare for him. But I mean, hell yeah,
dude. I like at this point, I just want to see somebody just belt that dude in the mouth. Like anybody that's on, like when he's giving a speech, I don't care about the look. I don't care about anything. Just to get through this and like for satisfaction for anyone sane, just like give him a nice fucking slap. Just like that slap like you see like a mom give a son or something. Just like shut the fuck up and just I just think it's tear up and cry. A bit.
I just think it's all theater at this point, bro. Like you can't tell me, bro, that shot with them dudes behind that door with that gun, man. I don't trust news enough to like. I'm not even trying to say fake news shit. Like I'm trying to say that like too many things had to happen for that picture to take place. That shit is manufactured to a degree. So that's why I'm just like, because bro, anybody, if your safety was really that far at question, you would not have been doing all those things. That's what I'm saying. You feel me? And then nobody got shot on top of that. Because like if it warrants you putting a barricade up and holding a gun to the door, then it warrants you firing a bullet if somebody comes in. Yeah, don't you just
fire as soon as they start breaking through? Like if you put a barricade up, it's like, well, if they get through, like you're in the Capitol building, y'all.
That's last stand. Yeah, that's your last stand. When you're in the barricade.
I know that's not the president in there, but the vice president was in there, and
senators
those are elected officials. So doesn't some sort of security like? That's what they would do if the president was in. If we all surrounded the building and were like, we're gonna fucking get you out of there, get out of there, and did that, I mean, they'd be fucking.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the fact that like only one person got shot to me just says something. Somebody,
a Trump supporter.
Somebody got briefed, bro. Some had to have happened where somebody was like, "We gonna stand down." Like either some gracious miracle happened where everybody all of a sudden they get to the barriers and everybody's like, "Oh, it's cool. We're in here now," and it just all chilled out, or they let it go. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I mean. Like to me, it's so many questions that get brought up with this shit, dude, that I can't even begin with. Primarily, number one being, in the most obvious, why the fuck did y'all let that shit even go down? Because like I said, you can't tell me all these things we've been talking about, bro. They saw this taking place weeks out, dog. Like literally for weeks, people have been out here talking about this shit. Like, yo, all the Trump people coming down here.
He was coming down outside, here, man. Like it wasn't like he was in some other state and he said that.
Right.
He was right there and just said, "Hey, see that building behind me? Hey, you should surround that. Demand justice," or whatever bullshit he said. Fuck that.
Bro, that's what I'm saying, man.
Like, isn't this at some point? Isn't there a treason? Like, isn't treason up for discussion at least?
How is that not?
Seem like it's not. It is.
But how is that not treason? Because you are known as the commander in chief, dog. Meaning that you give commands. Like basically, that's like if you work somewhere and the CEO run up on you, not your boss, the CEO, and says, "Hey, man, you do me a favor and help me put this in my trunk." Wouldn't you be like, "All right, I don't lift shit around here, bro. I'm a computer dude." You ain't gonna say that to the CEO. You know what I'm saying? Like that's basically what Trump did to us. Like we the janitors, and he came up there and was like, "Hey, man, don't sweep that up today. Matter of fact, go in there with the hammer and knock all the walls down."
You know, they
Wouldn't
fucking
you?
you guys, and
Yeah.
it isn't even like this isn't even just a citizen type thing. This is he got a group of his dumbass fucking
Militia.
mouth breathing ass fucking soldiers in a group outside of a building and said, you know what? I know that you guys all listen to everything I have to say and for some reason blindly follow everything I say to a T. So go ahead and you know what? Fuck this. We're taking this election back. And not like even if today didn't happen, he went on. There's a phone call they recorded that we have a bunch of phone calls they recorded because they recorded them once at the beginning of the pandemic. Said I'm going to downplay it because I don't want these people to do that. So you willfully fucked the situation up in that regard. Okay, you didn't know what was up. I'll take that because you're a dumb motherfucker. You probably didn't know what's up. But we just have another phone call they recorded where he's interfering with the election. He's asking elected officials to find votes so that he has one more vote than Biden and wins this state somehow, which is you're on tape asking people who work for the government to commit voter fraud. Is that not
Bruh.
treason?
Bro, it don't even sound real, dog. Like it don't even sound like something that you
These
can
are
even
not
make
made
up.
up. These are things that just happen, guys. I'm not high
Yeah,
on
man.
crack.
Yeah, bro.
But like any one of those things, I would think, maybe treason's up for grabs. Like maybe we're about to put this guy up, and it's just like, oh, it's just Trump. That's Donnie. Hey
That's
Don, you
why,
crazy motherfucker. Keep it up, bud. It's like who at some point is going to shut him up?
bro. That's what I'm saying, man. That's why I feel like all this shit to a degree has to be some level of manufacturing, either on his part or somebody. I don't know who, but because I ain't smart enough to connect all them dots. But it's like we were talking about, people get away with like murders, and it's a high profile thing, and it's like they make documentaries about it years later and triple documentaries about the same murder because it's just like a rare occurrence that like a murderer goes to trial in America. You know what I'm saying? And like it's only like you can count it on like maybe 30 or 40 people, you know what I'm saying, in the whole history of the country have done this, you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's like a big deal. But like the reason why it's such a big deal is because they want someone to stand trial for a murder in America. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like what Trump is doing now. It's like he's committed a crime to the degree that someone should stand trial for this, but they're not pointing the finger at him. It's like nobody's even going out. I guess because he's owns the DA, you know what I'm saying? So I guess the person that will prosecute him, he hired. So I guess maybe
Yeah, but
that's why
that's
he's
your
okay.
job. Like, isn't
But
that
yeah,
but
that's what I'm
isn't that
saying.
what being one of those people is? Is that even in a situation where your boss is telling you to do something unethical, the guy who's the leader of the free world is telling you to do something unethical. If you're a cop or if you're a fucking elected person and you're a decent person, I know it's not fun and you're probably going to suffer consequences yourself, but you signed up for that. When you signed on the dotted line to be whatever that is, right down the line, whoever, a politician, whatever, you are representing us.
Right.
You, a cop, if you're a fellow cop, murdered somebody in front of you and said, hey, you got to cover this up, you should say, no, I'm going to tell everybody you did it. And this is fucked up. So that goes all the way up to some guy who works for Trump saying, hey, you're creating you are literally destabilizing a country. You're doing what we send in PSYOP people into like
Right.
terrorist organizations to do to destabilize them so we can infiltrate, conquer, and destroy them. So I'm going to stop you. Like, that's what I said when I was listening to the phone call we were talking about where he's asking for the votes.
Yeah.
Why, when he did that, can I, as the guy and his lawyer who's like he's talking to, just say, I am recusing myself. I am cutting this call. The president has just asked me to commit voter fraud. I'm hanging the phone up. I'm going to report this. Like, that's what I feel like should have been done.
I think
Right?
what they were trying to say is that he didn't commit voter fraud because he was trying to investigate if there was evidence of voter fraud.
But he's
So that,
literally on tape saying, you got to give me 11,000 and whatever votes. I just need 11,000 votes. He's not
yeah,
asking, hey, look into this. He's saying, you need to manufacture or find 11,000 votes. So that's
well,
not, we can
bruh.
split hairs and shit, but that is not, you can't,
Yeah. I'm just telling you what they
saying
said.
That's not voter fraud.
Yeah, I'm just telling you what his legal team was trying to say is that they were trying to say that because, he's the president or whatever, he can investigate things and not be, trying to tamper it or whatever they were trying to say. But that's the same thing they tried to say with the last election when he was talking about the Russia shit. It was like there was no evidence of collusion or whatever, but then it's like they show all his evidence and then they were just like, yeah, but he was only doing that because he was trying to take part in investigating if someone was trying to tamper with it, is what they were saying. Like some shit like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like it's all these little loopholes, man. But like, I mean, we've gone on about it. I mean, I feel like we might need to have a second podcast later this week to update people because who knows what's gonna happen after.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, this is part one of this debacle, but honestly, man, this just is more of a reinforcement to me. Like we've stated this, and I mean, we definitely talk about this privately. How I think now what the game is it's nice to be altruistic and worry about the world and everyone in it and hope for the best. But I think now what I'm seeing is that we're getting into a time where you got to find the people in your life that you love and that that you're on the same page with, and you got to do things with all. Like you got to get your core and know who the people in your group are, and you just got to like set about creating your own little ecosystem, if you will, of like if we could work together and make money together or make food together, or like have these little communities. It's like it seems like it's a cult leaderish type thing. Like we should all get into a have a place and have a commune type situation. But at this point, the idea of being with my friends and family in a place that I know everyone there's got my back and it's not all this insanity and just being in a slower place, it seems so great to me because like being in a big city right now, man, like I live in LA, dog, and it just is just so it's stressful to be here anyway. And in a pandemic and when all this other shit's going on, it just doesn't seem like anything's worth it to be like doing that type of thing. It just feels like when you're far away from everybody and you're just like, everyone's out here like trying to make it. Like this place seems so unimportant now because of all
what you're talking about, bro, like that uniting and all that shit, like that is how like a lot of immigrants get ahead in this country, where it's like a Chinese family will have like their brother come over here, you know what I'm saying? And like he'll work in the kitchen of someone, like maybe a friend of a family or like a third cousin or uncle or something. And they'll work there, get a job, get enough money so another person can come and they send money back. And then eventually what happens is like they'll get together, get a place. Like, how like people make that joke of like a whole bunch of Mexicans all live in the same house together and shit. Yeah. But like they do that because they pay $1,000 worth of rent and then 3 people might live in a room, but then they all make $10,000 a month, only paying $1,000 back in rent, and then eventually they get enough money to buy a house.
And everyone gets that money.
Right. And then they all take turns where they'll get someone a house, and the next person gets a house, and eventually everybody gets their own, working as a team. And see, we as Americans we have our team set of like being only like immediate family, you know what I'm saying, or like. And I don't even know if you can even trust immediate family. Like I said, like, I think it's to the like I trust mine, but I'm just saying like I think it's to the point where like it needs to just be the people that are down to work to build like that you can trust to be like, hey man, we're gonna put some shit in your name. You got to come through here with this. You know what I'm saying? But like in the end, it's gonna pay off for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Put it to you like this, dude. If I asked you, if I lived in the same place, like if we lived near each other, and I said, dude, I need you to come over right now. I'm like in a bad way. You would do it. If you would do it. We've both been in situations in our lives, and unfortunately very recently, where like we needed each other, like even across the country. And we talked, like at the very least, we talked on the phone. So like, that's an example of people that have your back. Like I'm the same way. I trust my family. We all get mad at our family and shit every once in a while, but I'm not one of the people that doesn't have that. I don't have the issue of like, oh, I don't even trust my mom and dad fucked me over. My dad was abusive. I don't have it. Like we all know people that are good in our lives and are bad in our lives. And like, it seems like now more than ever, knowing who those people are is important. And if you can build a community where you're all, like you said, working together, like sort of on the same page, and maybe sacrificing a little at the beginning so that everyone can get a lot at the end, like whatever it is, starting a business, whatever, like, it just seems like that's the move. Like I've been like in this world in my life, at least, where when I was a kid, man, I don't know if it was like I can blame pop culture, but like everything I liked was all about getting that money, dude. Get money, right?
Hell
That
yeah.
was it. Get that money. That was what always went through my head. I like you can say wait, I can joke about it, but like any motivation I had when I got out of high school, what should I do with my life? Get that money. How can I get that money? What's the easiest way? And it just sort of like that was the thing that got in my head. Like we grew up in like an ultra like the ultra capitalistic
Yeah,
like
man.
times, where everything was like a consumer culture and we were all
Right.
about getting toys and getting things and having the coolest
That's
shit.
what it was. It was get that money to acquire the things you want
Yeah.
versus getting that money to build towards a future. You see what I'm saying? Like that's where like I feel like our generation got caught up, bro. Because like hip hop that's force it down your throat, bro. Money, cars, clothes, and hoes. You know what I'm saying? So
But
like
also like it
that's what
was
we think
also
success
like
is.
you got to do it like there ain't no team shit. It was like
Right, right.
like there's only one person. It's got to be you. Like the idea of collaboration or like working with a friend was almost like frowned upon. And
Right.
I don't know, man. It's just like kind of
No,
weird
you're right.
that we get to this point now, and like all that shit, it just like seems so fucking stupid. I wish it wasn't like kind of like the how I set the pace of my life or like where my goals were at, because it really was like even when I decided to go to film school, it was like, well, if I like maybe I'll get that big money someday. It was like always so it was never like an artistic thing really. It was because I
Yeah.
liked doing it, but it was also like I want to get paid to do this shit type thing. Not I want to make something and if I get paid for it later, cool. It was
No,
never
dude,
like
like
some people just make things and never even think about getting paid, Like that's
right,
what a
right.
real artist is. And I just feel like people now are realizing that maybe like that mentality where it's more of an artistic culture. It's not based on fucking money and all this like big ass shit and all this crazy like all fucking drip, bro. Look at this drip, bro. Like all
Right,
that kind
right.
of mentality where maybe it's like this is where the renaissance starts again. Like
I
maybe
think,
we're at
man,
the
I think, hell
beginning.
yeah. No, I think exactly what you're saying is the truth, man. I think a lot of it might kind of even have to do with what I'm saying, where there's the spiritual thing and then there's the technology thing. I think a lot of that is clashing. That's kind of what you're saying with like the art versus the strive for the money and stuff. Cause I was kind of the same way, bro. Like I was going to go to flight school to be a pilot because they made 100 G's a year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
not
But
that,
you
yeah,
you
not that
thought
I
about
want to fly.
that because of the
Yeah.
money,
Right,
right?
exactly. Like, and the reason why I backed out was because I was like, well, I really don't care about flying a plane. I just want to get paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why that might not be the best move when it's all said and done. Cause like people's lives is in your hand. You know what I'm saying? And like, you don't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really give a fuck. You just want your check. So like, you can't be coming in there with like a shitty Monday morning attitude and just be like, man, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what's up, y'all? We about to fly this bitch to Boston. Like,
Y'all sit back, shut the fuck up. Me in New
yeah,
York
you know what I
City in
mean?
3 hours. Okay, shut the
Right.
fuck up.
But like same thing with me, man. Like I don't know if I ever was like truly striving for things via art. Like don't get me wrong, like I've done artistic things strictly for the art of it, you know what I'm saying? But those are always things that I never intended to even show anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like I have notebooks that I've written like pages and pages of raps and full songs and all that I've never let anybody listen to because it's just like, man, like this is just for me, you know what I'm saying? Like because I don't
Yeah.
want to be a rapper, you know what I'm saying? Like I just like fucking around sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what my thought process is with it. But like I think what you're saying though, like the Renaissance thing, I think that's why people are getting in an uproar. Like I think they want this, like even the redneck people like that we're saying about Trump and shit, like they want a rebirth to happen. Like that's why they're upset because they are down and out. You know what I'm saying? And everybody wants that Renaissance to come back and be like the golden age or like their image of what their perfect idea of where their future should be now. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why we aren't getting there is because we're all holding each other back because we don't want to delve into these things. Man, you got to pull the scabs back and be like, well, you're broke because they fucking fucked you over back in the day when they did all these fucking redlining things as a black person and took away your neighborhoods and your food and all this. And then like you as a redneck, you lost your jobs and they privatized a bunch of these industries and then they took all this shit over to China and you know what I'm saying? Like, so now you don't have a guaranteed work, you know what I mean? And like all these things, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're all things that have been infiltrated against us as the same economic class, but everybody looks at it from like they did it to make some black, or they did make some white, or they, they don't like this person because of that or whatever, not realizing that, like I said, there are controlling powers that benefit from all those things, dude. Like, I think
And
it's to
they're
the level.
high level. It's like the
Yeah.
highest level where it's like huge money's involved, people's reputations are involved, powers involved. And there's people that will literally lie and kill people to hide a simple lie in life. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
There's a
right.
guy who maybe whatever, like some guy ripped
That
off
shit
some
we saw.
old lady. You know,
That shit you were telling about that murder documentary where the dude killed his wife and he won't even confess to his kids, even because, like, basically what that documentary was, that murder on the beach thing, was that the cops fucked up the DNA and they based the whole case off the DNA and they fucked it up, and now they don't know what to do. And that guy got off, and because he won't confess, which he was smart to not say that he did it if you don't want to go to jail.
Boy,
He
did the scumbag thing. He goes, I need to see my lawyer. And he had the day he showed, basically what happened was his wife got found dead, right?
Right.
They couldn't find this motherfucker for a full day. They couldn't find him. He was nowhere to be found.
Right.
He shows up the next day, not, where's my wife? Or where's my, they were divorced, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
But like, what's going on? He shows up with one of the biggest criminal litigator, like defense attorneys, like a Johnny Cochran type dude.
Right.
He hasn't even been really named a suspect in public. He just shows up. So right off grip, he did the scumbag thing, which is to deny, and he has a lawyer that he can do it. And all he got out, like, and he won't admit. I don't think the guy killed somebody. This is what I think happened. And for anyone that wants to know what we're talking about, it's a documentary. I think it was on HBO called Murder in Middle Beach.
Yeah, that's
and
what
basically a woman was killed, and it goes through all this whole thing. But what I think happened was they showed in the documentary that the dad was involved in all this like Ozark level money movement. He was obviously laundering money for some huge thing that's like a dark figure of some kind. They found all these documents after the fact that the wife was collecting that basically were bank transfers with this guy's name on it, but it was like a bank in Egypt, or transferring $2.5 million to a bank in the Cayman Islands. And I think he fucked somebody's money up, maybe it was like a cartel or some situation like an Epstein organization type thing. And they said, where's our money at? And he didn't, like, he fucked the money up, and they're like, well, we're going to kill, and they killed his wife or his ex-wife. Maybe thinking that he would, or maybe they knew she knew that shit and they killed her because she was about to talk about it to the cops. So,
well, this is the thing. Like, we brought that up just to say that, like you were saying, like, there are people that will do things like that to cover up their own.
Yeah, sorry, I went too deep into that. My bad.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, like, think about this, though, bro. Like, literally, like, when we think of crime as like being like, oh, somebody beat me up or somebody gets robbed. You know what I'm saying? Like petty theft, petty crime. You know what I'm saying? But like, there are crimes that go on a higher level that, like I said, affect people that you would never even realize. Like, simply by raising
sex slaves, fucking.
Well, I mean, it's not even that deep. Like prescription drugs, dude. Like that person that was raising the prices of insulin and shit and all that. Like that thing. Like literally, you can raise the price of a drug by 2 cents and make $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're fucking around with shit like that, like you realize, like they said, Trump owes 80 million to people around the world, bro. Like all these other governments and shit. It's like, dude, that's a Fortune 500 company. You can't tell me everything's on the up and up. You owe somebody 80 million. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't some normal shit. You see what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean, bro. Like it's things like that going on that I think people don't understand is the real reason why you're in your plight. You know what I'm saying? Like even as a rich person, bro, like there's literally like people that you know are rich, like celebrities even that go through hard times. Like I think Jason Momoa had an article out talking about how before he got to be Aquaman, him and his wife was basically about to be like destitute, you know what I'm saying? And then he finally got lucky and shit, and like some shit kind of went his way. But it's like even that guy, because he was in Game of Thrones, bro, and then he said he was almost broke after that. It's like, because I mean everybody's lifestyle is different, I get it, but you just have to realize like even the rich and the well off are dealing with this same issue, because what they're really trying to do is take all the pocketed wealth from the people of the world and put it in their pockets, dude. I mean, you see all these movies with these ideas of the future and shit where it's like people getting scanned and you know what I'm saying, like living like kind of like some Star Wars shit where they're eating like food pellets and shit, you know what I'm saying, like looking like modern day peasants. That's not on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because you could make an image of the future if you are in control of Hollywood where everybody's an angel. You know what I'm saying? Where we're all fucking manifesting thoughts into reality and got computer chips and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you could do that too. But they always show that same future where it's like it's gonna be a rough and tough Wild West ass future.
Desert. There's 5 people left to live.
Yeah, it's gonna be some
There's
Mad
one
Max
book
shit,
left.
some Walking Dead shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they're pitching, dude. Like
and that's why I feel like we're in that. That's what it's like. I'm scared. Are we in the middle? Were we at like the prelude to that movie, like the first 5 minutes of that movie, where like it's like that Terminator 2 style recap where they're like, in 2020,
right,
year started.
Right.
No one believed what would happen. And it's just like, it feels like, are we at that precipice right now? Fuck.
I think we are, but I think what people don't realize is when you're at the summit of anything, it could go either way. You know what I'm saying? Where it could be that it's the dark future or it could be that it's the great future. Because I think the benefit of all this, especially today, if you want to show any good light of what happened at the Capitol and all that shit, is that like people know something is up. You know what I'm saying? Like on both sides, I feel like. Because like I feel like those people went about it the wrong way. You should never go get guns and do all that crazy shit that they're doing because it's not really gonna help you in the long run. But at the end of the day, like I think they were doing that because they feel like they're being cheated. And I feel like everybody kind of is seeing that, regardless of what side you're on. But now we got to get together and figure out how the plot is stacked against us. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop fighting each other, bro.
I mean, eventually the Bloods and the Crips got together. Like if we like everyone can eventually, like if we all find out we're getting fucked over, like that's what everyone needs to realize is that there's going to be a moment in history someday, whether it's we all find out there is some sort of huge conspiracy with like all these rich fucking oligarchs somewhere sort of manufacturing all this shit so they make more money in all these different situations. Or maybe like aliens come where it's like being black or white or poor or rich. It's like, what if like Reagan said that shit, and whether or not you like him or don't, somebody did say this. It's like, there could be a moment where the world at large has to be like, oh, we all got to figure this out. I would have thought maybe a global pandemic where everyone's dying and fucking getting sick, that would have happened. Where we could all just been like, you know what? What is fucking going on, guys? Like, let's get together. Like, let's send Fauci from here and fucking Germany's guy and this guy and that guy, get them in a room and have all these people figure this out. But no, we all
what's crazy?
So it does seem like that's just we're here and we should have, like what you were saying, we got to this like cliff with the pandemic, right? And we could have said positively, we're all going to get together as a world and figure this out, or negatively, we're going to lock in into like everyone's locked in states, fucking countries, whatever. We're all locked. Like, and it seems like we did that, and it was like the wrong. Like, we needed to do something globally and not locally. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's the problem, man.
So sad, dude. This has been a negative day, but I just think that honestly it sucks, but this is kind of what acknowledging this shit moving forward. This is what it's going to take though. Like you're not going to be like, they were fucking us over. That's why I've been broke my whole life. Or that's why my dad died because he couldn't get this. Or that's why my wife died because she couldn't get this medicine. It's like, it's going to suck. But are we just going to avoid that forever? And like, the next generation of kids when they're 39 years old or whatever age are going to be like, man, this guy, I remember this, like us saying that way back then. And I thought they were crazy. Just like me, like that guy in the bookstore. I thought that guy was crazy. Well, now he don't seem that fucking crazy.
Well, what's fucked up about it is just that, we're saying it or whatever, like you're saying, but the fucked up thing about it is that most people don't take action until it affects them. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what we were getting to, where we're saying like lock up with your people and build on, your team, because you need to be ready for when that inevitable fall comes your way. You know what I'm saying? Like, who lives their life and never gets sick? And then like we live in a country where if you get sick, you could be broke. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
homeless,
you want to know, like,
sick.
I didn't want to bring this up because I'm just pissed about it, but like literally today, like this week, I got up like businesses just started opening again because of the new year, right?
Yeah.
And I have like medications because I'm a cancer survivor that I've been getting and getting for a while now. Well, this drug that I've been receiving at no cost through my employee or employer provided insurance for months. I mean, years really, at zero cost. All of a sudden on Monday, I call the pharmacy that I've always used, and they're like, "Well, your something changed. You got to call this place." And then I called some other place, and like nothing has happened. My insurance hasn't changed. The drug hasn't changed. Nothing has happened. I confirmed all this. Now I have to pay them, or they're saying I'm going to have to pay them $5,000 for 30 days worth of a drug. That's
It's
not
crazy.
for a lifetime supply. That's for
Right.
30 days. They're like, oh, it could be 18,000. This is just your copay. Well, I just start, that's the reality. And I'm luckily for me, I might not need that drug anymore. Maybe I can just
Yeah.
stop taking it, or maybe the person who's working on it for me is going to figure out whatever this is. But the reality is there's some people that they need a drug that costs that and they have to pay it.
Yeah, man.
You
Like,
know?
bro, this girl that I work with was telling me that her mom's insurance was messed up or something, and she had got sick and all this, and like, she was paying for insulin out of pocket. It was $800 basically a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how insulin is, man. Like, you got
Yeah,
to take that shit
Kendra's
daily.
her old roommate had the same issue. Like,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like paying out of pocket, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, or not even just that, though. Like if you get hurt, you know what I'm saying? Like same thing. You could fall, hurt, get hurt, and then you fucked or anything, dude. Like we live in a place where that's a reality, though. That's why it's like you just have to be building with your people that you can trust, dog. You can't be like out here getting caught up in like antenna waves and shit hitting your brain and all that and putting aluminum foil on your phone, because the reality is that that shit is real to the extent of I can't get hurt. You see what I'm saying? Like I live in a no fault system. You see what I'm saying? Like that's how America's built. You fuck up one time, you're done. We did it already. We got a fucked up student loan, fucked up our shit. That we live in a reality where you got to make all the right decisions at all the right moments. Cause like that's where I didn't realize as a youngin', dude, was like I kind of felt like you could just do shit and then shit would just kind of turn up positive no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it don't really matter what I pick, man. I'm gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? And it's true to a degree, but if you make proper decisions all the way through, it's people that like retired when it was like 25, dog.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like that's a real thing too. You see what I'm saying?
God
Like,
bless, man.
yeah, you know what I mean? So like it just is what it is, bro. So like knowing that you live in a no fault system in America where you got to make all the right moves, you have to be making contingencies yourself. You can't like you got to say, well, I got this money saved in case I do get hurt. I got this money saved in case my car do break down. You know what I'm saying? In case I can't pay that bill, I got some money saved up because that's all you can really do, dude. And like I said, hopefully you can work as a squad where you got somebody that can lean on you and say like, hey man, I'm fucked up. You think you can help me out? And then I get you back, you know what I'm saying? And y'all know y'all tight like that. Like that's really what the best situation you could ever hope for, whether that's your wife, family, friend, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like that's really the only real benefit of anything, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like in America, that's the one thing we can look forward to is hopefully we can unite. But it's so much shit out there trying to divide us that it's scary, bro. That's what's terrifying.
That's why we had to hop on this, man. I think we're gonna call it for today. Like,
Yeah,
I
bro.
don't really know what else we can say on this. Like, I think we actually had that's why I love talking to you. Like when we do these, especially at sort of these like some of these weird moments that we've been having over this last shitty ass year.
Historical shit.
It's almost like this is a roadmap for people to see, like maybe it doesn't always have to be like this professional discussion. It doesn't always have to be like what you would think would change people's minds, but it's like even if it makes you uncomfortable to talk about it, like having this talk with your friend, even just like we're on the same page, so it's not a hard conversation necessarily, even if I disagree with something you say, but this is what you have to do. We got to talk about all the fucked up things to get over it. That's the only way that's ever going to happen. And apparently, like, even in 2020, like, we're so far away from that. So we just got to hope that whatever the fuck happened today was just a blip, that fucking President fucking hot dog will get his fat douchey ass out and get all these weenies out that he follow him just out of.
We just gotta hope, yeah. The 20th cat can't get here soon enough, bro. That's really what it is. Once he's get out of there, hopefully all this shit will just die down. But it's looking like for the next couple of weeks, he's just gonna keep raising the stakes until he can just cause big enough of a shitstorm.
Well,
but
I mean, we're gonna keep. If this happens again, we're gonna keep doing. I think this is gonna be good. I'm just gonna like literally make a poster for this and put this up. just as is, and maybe we will do this because also shout out my buddy Steve. I'm doing another podcast, Aaron. I'm cheating on you. So that's why we've been like doing less of this. But
see how it is. I'm just the
hey,
I'm just the
man.
old I'm just the old thing.
Hey man, you know you are, but now it's real
too-
uncomfortable because Aaron's busting you guys. No,
Man,
but
you don't like talk about the real, man. You want to joke about
you
some
want to live
shit.
in the 90s, but my buddy Steve and I are doing a video, like we're doing more of a video thing where we talk about 90s in general, but basically the structure of the show is we pick a couple episodes that aired on whatever date the podcast is coming out, and we just rewatch them, review them. Most of the time when you watch an old 90s show, it's just rife with comedy. So if you want to check that out, I'd love it. It's called Happened in the 90s. Shout out. We're trying to get this brand fucking growing, Aaron. The Same Studios podcast network is getting bigger and bigger, dude. Who's next? We're like NWO. Are we gonna get Clark the Shark in here, or like?
Man, nah, man. The next podcast gonna be just me and Sean, man. We gonna
Man, what the? You can't hose me out.
Nah, man. Then we gonna be talking about bacon
Sean,
recipes.
do not do this.
Nah, we're gonna be up there baking recipes and shit. Like, man, then see, I like to add 3/4 of vanilla instead of hazelnut, like they tell you to, because they give it a little something, little extra to it. And then Sean gonna be like, "Oh, I concur, my good fellow. I concur."
It's not boring. I gotta see what this looks like at the end, but.
Man, you just hate,
But nah,
man.
dude, I like check it out. But we're gonna be doing this. Like this one came. Like we're just gonna release this because this is kind of like a blip in time. I think is important for us, like just to sort of get this out and let people hear this. But if anything else keeps popping off, I think definitely like we're gonna do one like every other week at the very least, if not like what we've been doing once a week. But I think what we can do, like for us, for Ain't Life Funny, if something like this happens, you know. To me, this is a quintessential Ain't Life Funny. Like this is just another like version of that where Ain't Life Funny. This shit's just happening again. Like we're just going through this shit again and again.
I mean, this shit gotta stop popping off like this because it's like, bro, that shit was outrageous though. Like I said, that to me, bro, it looked like Planet of the Apes or some shit, man. It really didn't look.
There
like
was a guy
real.
walking around with horns on, dude. There's a video of him just standing in the fucking front of the Capitol with two guys like MAGA guys, like a dude that looks like fucking party Satan. Ridiculous, dude. I mean, I don't know. And like, what's better for this podcast? Like, we love conspiracy, and I guess now we just gotta lean into that because all this shit's popping off, and you know, we'll throw a couple of dick and fart jokes in there too. I'll talk about busted nuts every once in a while.
Oh god. All right, man.
All right, dog. Well, hey, man. Thanks for getting in and connecting today. I know it's kind of a last minute thing, but I appreciate it.
Oh nah, it's all good, bro.
But I guess you know, this is episode 36. We might have episode 36 and a half later this week if shit keeps popping off. We'll see.
I'm about to say, man,
TBD.
this is just a wild week. Hell yeah.
But
all right.
Thanks for listening,
Peace.
y'all. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Cool. Peace.
Peace.
We don't never intro the show